Finally, okay, separated. And at that time, immediately Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down a verse in the Quran, sent down that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not the father of any man. ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين. He is Rasulullah and he is the last prophet. But he is not the father of any man. So then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, these people call them by the names of their fathers and not by the name of their adopted father. And if you do not know the name of their father, then they are your brothers, call them whatever, but they are, treat them as brothers. So treat them equal. You can get him in the family and treat him, but don't say he's my son or he's my daughter. Don't. But to spend on the orphans is preferable in Islam. We must spend on orphans, but at the same time, we do not adopt.
Excuse me.
That's what Allah
Can I ask a
subhanahu.
question?
Yes, sir.
Going back to the question of orphanage and adoption, I do understand what Islam said, but what if hundreds of thousands of kids, they're on the street, they don't have parents, they don't have any means of living at the right place, so you let them go stay on the street, and so then is it not the responsibility of society or to
Yeah, of course
adopt
it is,
them
but responsibility.
instead of saying, okay, Islam said this, I'm not going to do that because he's going to come to my home, my daughters are here, my wife is here, he is going to embrace him. It's against all those things. On the other hand, if you bring them a good human being to the society, instead of following it, this is what has been said, so I'm not going to do that. So is it not good to give a home to a kid who don't have any other means, and then you brought him up to the stage where he's a good Muslim and very productive to the society and Islam? Or leaving them in the orphanage where everybody say, oh, he's orphan. Okay, he will have all zakat, sadaqah and all those things.
Yeah. You're right. What you said in the end is correct. Don't leave them in the orphanage. That's what I said. It's not.
So why leave them in the orphanage? I mean, if you...
I'm saying don't leave them in the
Right.
orphanage. I'm not saying leave them in the orphanage. I'm saying leaving them in the orphanage is not good. Take them. But don't adopt them and say, this is my son. Don't give them your name. Don't make him a son.
What's wrong in that one?
I just said what's wrong. I just gave the things that's wrong. One thing is wrong, that he is not muharram to your wife, to your daughter, to your son, to your brother, to anybody, because you're biologically different. Number two, he should not inherit any of your property, but he's going to inherit if you adopt. Number three, the person who is supposed to be responsible for him, he is gone free. So all these things are wrong. But to look after him, to take him and give him tarbiyah, as telling him that this is a man, ikhwanukum, that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says here. He says, if you take them, وَإِن تُخَالِطُوهُمْ فَإِخْوَانُكُمْ, make them your brothers. Make them your brothers. When he says brothers, means if it's girl, sister. So you take them. It's not that you don't take them. Of course you take them. You look after them and do everything for them. But he knows and you know and neighbor knows and everybody knows this is not your son. You are doing it for him. You are looking after him. He knows that, and you give him respect. You make him come to the house, not in an orphanage. So that is the correct way of dealing with orphans, and not live on the street, of course not. And besides that, sir, you know, in Islam, it's all spread out. Say I die, and I leave a child which is 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years old. Islam has spelled out who is responsible for the child. Who is next after me? Who must look after the child? It's all clearly stated who has got to look after. And if that person dies, then who is the third one to look after the child? It's a responsibility.
This is something very ideological society you're saying. Okay, who is next, who is next, who is next? What if there's no next?
If there's no next, then you have if you have the government which is Islamic government, then the Baitul Mal will look after you.
We know in the society where is Islamic government.
You don't have
Where
it,
is
take
the
him home.
government?
Take him home. All you have to do is do not call him your son.
I think that's the whole idea of this ayah teaches us.
Yeah, that's what the ayah teaches.
And it's not necessary that you adopt them
No,
as your children,
no,
but you can take them home.
Yes, of course.
You can treat them as your brothers.
Exactly.
And don't mix up their affairs with your own affairs. That means don't mix up. There's no commingling of the property.
Correct.
If they have their property, don't commingle that property with your property.
Right.
So it becomes one property. Keep their property separate.
Separate.
But
And
at
that
the
is
same
very,
time, accept them as your brothers and sisters.
yeah, in Surah Nisa.
Don't adopt them. Don't give them your father's name. You
Don't
can do
छोड़ो
nothing else.
मुझे
And
दे
that's the basic concept of
That's
Islam.
why the thing.
But those people you don't have.
What about that?
If somebody does not have.
So?
His wife is dead. No, but what is the question?
Yeah, adoption. Adoption. Question is adoption.
just
You don't
कोई
adopt.
issue कर रहे
No,
हैं
you don't
They
adopt.
don't
Treat them
understand.
as your brothers and sisters.
So
That's
what
allowed.
do you
But
say
adoption is
in
not
their
allowed.
school? If you say they don't give them your name, but when you take him to the school, what name he would have as a father?
You know his
Original
father.
name. He has original name.
Will be guardian.
He has a father.
But if they in a situation where you don't know their father,
You can have the guardian. You can
Call
be
him
a guardian.
Smith, call him John, whatever you like to call
You
him.
can put your name as a guardian.
Yeah, you give a name as a guardian.
In American
There's no harm in that.
it's spelled out. It's not
Yeah.
unfamiliar.
Can I slightly address that? Supposing there's a widow and she has a daughter and she remarries. Where does her daughter go?
Spelled out.
Good question. Why does the daughter go? Daughter goes, you see the Prophet
The daughter
Sallallahu
stays with the mother,
Let
and
me tell you,
again,
let me
the
tell you a
father
little,
is a stepfather.
let me
again,
tell you a
it's
little
form of
story,
adoption.
which will answer your question. There was a Sahabi called Abu Salama, and Abu Salama was a very, very nice person, and he was extremely excellent person, and he died martyred in the Battle of Uhud, and Salama was his wife. She came back to Medina. She got 3 kids, and these 3 kids, she's left with 3 yatims now, and then Abu Bakr goes to her and says, how about marrying me? I want to marry you. Because he hasn't got nobody there. I'll marry you. She said no. Abu Salama was so good, you can't match that man. I will not be here. I'm not married. After some time, Umar went to her and said, how about marrying me? She said no. You can't match Abu Salama. I cannot be. After some time, Prophet Muhammad went himself. And he offered. He said, I want to marry you. Will you marry me? She said, tell me, is it an order from Allah? Allah has asked you to come and ask me to marry you? Or is it your own? Because if it's Allah's order, then ask. I'm ready. But if it's from you, then the answer is no. Prophet ﷺ said, it's from me, not from Allah. No, it's mine. My desire. He said no. She said no. Answer is no. I don't know. He said, why? Why don't you want to marry me? What's the problem? She said, three things. Firstly, I'm a jealous woman by nature. You have other wives. I'm going to tell you something which you won't like, and Allah will get me for that. Because you are Rasulullah. I can't dare to tell you anything, but I can't control myself. That's first thing. Okay. My second thing is that I have these kids. That's why you asked the question. I have these children. When I get married to you, what will happen to the children? I have 3 kids. That's the second. And third one is, I'm not a young woman anymore. I'm elderly, you know. So Prophet ﷺ said, the first question is your jealousy. If you marry me, inshallah, Allah will take the jealousy away from you. You will never feel jealous anymore. You'll be okay. That's Allah, I'll pray for that. That will happen, inshallah. Secondly, you said the children. If you marry me, they are my children. I'll look after them. That's my responsibility there. It's not your responsibility, that's my responsibility, tell you. So you are assured of that. They'll be looked after. Thirdly, you are saying that you're not anymore a young woman. What do you think I am? I'm not a young man either. I'm also now age, you know. I'm not a very young person. So she said, I marry you. And he married. And you know, afterwards, this Hudaybiyah, when this Hudaybiyah took place, You know the whole story when Prophet ﷺ went and consulted his wife? Salama, he went and consulted. He went and consulted Salama. She lived very happy life because then she said that her husband had taught her, whenever Allah takes anything from you, whatever, make a dua and say, Ya Allah, you have taken it from me, give me something better than that. Whatever, give me better than that. And she said, when my husband died, I made the dua. Then I said, what am I saying? How can I get better than Abu Salama? Who can be better than him? That's why she refused Abu Bakr and Umar also. But Allah sent a better person, Prophet Sallallahu. So when he marries, the children, you have to look after the children. If you want to marry everyone.
By the virtues of the principles you gave, they're still not the man's bloodline.
Of course they are not. They are not mahram, yes. So what?
So then, why not an orphan then? What's the difference?
What?
You're
No,
saying
you.
one of the main objections
She
with an
won't, you
orphan
see,
was that they're not the bloodline.
when you take the
They
widow,
can't inherit. But by the same virtue, if a man marries a widow, that's not his child, that's not his bloodline.
Of course.
So how can they take his inheritance?
you won't take inheritance. Who said
Prohibition, the prohibition is clear that who you cannot marry. One of that is if you are married to her mother, you cannot marry the daughter.
Of course.
That's a prohibition.
Yeah.
So she comes in the line of prohibition.
It means that he becomes married.
She becomes mahar because she's not in the line of prohibition. She's in the line of prohibition.
Of course, if you are married,
Mother, you cannot marry
you
the
cannot
daughter.
marry the daughter of your wife.
So then can the daughter inherit?
No, inheritance doesn't come. No. She does not inherit.
His stepdaughter.
Inheritance, stepchildren don't inherit.
And
Stepchildren don't
Islam,
inherit.
Islam has that guideline also. So step.
And for inheritance, there's a complete guideline.
So stepchildren don't inherit, but if the man dies, it goes to the wife, and then if she dies, it goes to her daughter. So she is inheriting by
She,
default.
yeah,
Yeah,
by
by
default,
default,
yes.
The portion.
Yes,
She
by
will.
default.
Whatever.
portion of it.
Yeah, whatever is the
So
wife.
stepwise, it's still running
Correct.
back to the
Yeah.
Whatever is wife's, the wife's child will inherit.
But if the mother dies first, then she can't inherit
She
from
can
her
inherit.
stepfather.
No,
No.
there are other children. If there are other children, they're not there.
They're not. No.
All spelled out. Like all this.
Yeah.
This one, when we read Surah Nisa, then everybody will know.
Yes, in Surah Nisa is all spelled out. Very nice.
16 categories of distribution.
Now I must go quickly over the next verse, so I want to finish that one. And it says, وَلَا أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وَلَا تنكحوا المشركات حتى يؤمنن وَلَعَمَةٌ مُؤْمِنَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِنْ مُشْرِكَةٍ وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ وَلَا تنكحوا المشركات. Do not marry unbelieving women. Mushrikat, women who are mushrikat is one who does shirk. Do not marry women who are mushrikat. Hatta yuminna, till they will accept Islam, till they enter Islam. Enter Islam, that's all right. She was a mushrikat. Wala amatun mu'minatun. If you have a Muslim woman who is a slave woman, khayrun min mushrikatin, she is much better than a non-believing woman. Walaw ajabatkum, even if you are attracted to her, even if you love her, even if you are attracted to her. Wala tunkihul mushrikeen, and do not marry men who are mushriks. This is not to the women. Hatta yuminu, till they become Muslims. Wala abadul mu'minun, and a slave Muslim is khayrun min mushrikin, is much better than a mushrik. Walau ajabakum, even if he attracts you. Even if he attracts you from whatever angle you are attracted, you cannot marry. So marrying a Muslim is totally out for men as well as for women. You don't marry. Why? Allah says, أُولَٰئِكَ يَدْعُونَ إِلَى النَّارِ. They invite you towards hell. Wallahu yad'u ila al-jannah, and Allah invites you to Jannah. Wal maghfirah, and to forgiveness. Allah invites you all the time to forgive you and to put you into Jannah. Wa yubayyinu ayatihi lin-nas, and Allah shows the signs for the people very clearly. La'allahum yatadhakkarun, so that they can understand, they can take admonition. And now, therefore, we know now from this that marrying a mushrik, woman or man, is totally prohibited. in Islam. Now, with the Ahl Kitab, which is Jews and Christians, story is different. And that is told somebody else. The story is different. If a man wants to marry a Jewess or a Christian woman, he is allowed to do it. If a woman wants to marry a Christian man or a Jewish man, she is not allowed to do it. Woman is allowed not to marry. Woman is not allowed to marry an Ahl Kitab, but a man is allowed to marry an Ahl Kitab woman. Some very big discussions are taking place even today on this. First discussion that people say is that the people so-called Ahl Kitab, those who are Christians, for example, are they coming in the category of Ahl Kitab or are they coming in the category of Mushrik? Because if they believe that Jesus is the Son of God and He is a God, He is a God and He's Son of God, they are Mushrik. So, can you then marry them if you believe that? This is one argument, and people say, no, you cannot. The other argument is, they did believe that Jesus is the Son of God at the time when these verses were revealed during the time of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Didn't Allah know that? Allah still called them Ahl Kitab. They did believe. وقال المسيح عيسى ابن الله, it's in the Quran. وقالت اليهود عزير ابن الله. وقال Yahud said Uzair is son of God, and the Christians said Isa is son of God. Allah says that. But still He called them Ahl Kitab. Therefore that argument does not hold. He still called them Ahl Kitab. Another argument, I'm just giving you the argument. You can go and do some research on it and study yourself. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, when he was Amir al-Mumineen, he came to know that in Syria a lot of Muslims are marrying Christians. There were Christians there, and these Muslims have gone from there, they are marrying, and some had converted there, and they are marrying Christians. He called them and told them, don't do it. They said, well, this is Ahl Kitab, we can marry him. And he told them, you can marry Ahl Kitab. Even if you are allowed to do it, I advise you, don't do it unless it is absolutely essential for you. Because, you see, that makes sense. When husband and wife do not have the same line of thought, first of all, there is difference between them all the time, husband and wife. Secondly, when the child is born, now the child is in trouble. The husband teaches him something and the wife teaches him something. I was invited to go to New York to attend a function. I didn't know about this, but when I got there, the story is that this man has married a Jewish lady. And now they have a daughter. And the daughter is now come to the age of 13 or 14, something like that. And there's a custom in Jews that at that age, they have some function. I don't know what that function is.
Bar mitzvah.
What?
That's
right. That's what it's called. But, so she's going to do that. But at the same time, she's going to get shahada. So they had called a Moli Sahab. There was a Moli Sahab with a beard 10 times longer than mine. And he's watching her taking the oath as a Jew, that I will be Jew and this, all that. And then he said, now you come and say Shahada.
Oh my God.
Then he said Shahada.
So Shahada overrides the Jewish beard.
What's going on here? You can't be Muslim and Jew. You can't be. Okay, we want to be liberal, we want to be this, but you can't be either a Jew or a Muslim.
The later one comes the previous.
Huh?
The later comes the previous.
No, but both at the same time. And he said that the father of the girl said that, we like her to follow both. So we want her to be following both. She can follow both. Christianity and Judaism as well as Islam. So she respects both. She respects Quran, she respects Torah, she respects Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, she respects Musa alayhi salam. So she says, this is not allowed in Islam. You cannot do that. You are shown tolerance, and the tolerance to the maximum. tolerance to the extent that when Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu went to Jerusalem, you know the story when he entered the Jerusalem. You know, Jerusalem, they said, we'll not let you in till your Amir Mu'minin comes. He went on that last very famous story. Anyway, when he entered now, Muslims have entered Jerusalem and they have surrendered the city. Everything belongs to the Muslims now. And time comes on prayer and they have a huge big church there. And they said, let's go inside and pray. And even the rabbi of the church, not rabbi, the priest of the church, the pastor said, yes, you want to pray, you can go. They have just lost them. You can go and pray. Omar said, no. It will set a precedent that when you conquer a place, go in their worship places and take them over. No. We'll pray outside. You can build your own masjid here, but don't go in the church. So much is the tolerance for other religions. As soon as Prophet ﷺ went to Medina, he made the document of Medina. And what was in the document of Medina? One of the clauses was everybody will have complete freedom of worship and religion. As they want, they will worship. When from Najran, a delegation came to Medina, and Prophet ﷺ put them up in the Masjid Nabawi, in his own masjid. Next day, they said, we want to hold our mosque, we want to hold our this thing. Prophet ﷺ said, go ahead and do it. And Sahaba said, Ya Rasulullah, they consider Isa to be Islam, son of God, and they're going to pray to him. And you allow them to do that in our masjid? He said, when they say God, there is only one God. When they say God, they are calling your God and my God and their God. There's only one. There is no two gods. That's tolerance. But you cannot say, I want to be a Jew as well as a Muslim. You cannot say that. You cannot marry. You cannot marry one who is a Muslim. But as far as Ahli Kitab is concerned, if you want to marry, and then another thing is, once you marry an Ahli Kitab woman, a Christian or a Jewish woman, it's not necessary that you marry her and now you must enter Islam. Of course you your attempt, you want to do it, you want to make her understand what Islam is and hope that she will enter Islam, naturally. But you cannot force her, and that's not a condition. She can stay in her own religion and still be your wife and your legal wife. Islam allows her.
But if she
What happened to the children then?
Exactly, that's what
So
happened
better
to
not
children.
marry.
Children have to be Muslims. Will she allow it?
Be on the safe side not to marry them.
Exactly. That is what safe side, that is why Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, why do you want to do that? And this is not, don't quote me on, you can quote me on that, but I'm not a ruling or anything, but I say this, that why should you marry a Christian or a Jewish person when there are Muslim women available? Why? Because you are going to invite trouble.
No, because the answer is Allah has allowed it.
Yes.
And
So if
also,
Allah has allowed it, that is the answer.
Yeah, I allowed it. No, wait a minute. Allowed it. But Allah didn't say do it.
No, it's not prohibited.
Allah said,
If something's allowed in Quran,
Yes.
then a Khalifa changed that, say that don't do it.
Khalifa didn't change it. He didn't say. He advised them not to do it because same reason what is given for Mushrikeen, that they invite you to Nar and Allah invites you to Islam. Same thing will apply even to Christian and to the Jews. That they will invite you to Nar, they will invite your children to Nar, they will invite you to Nar. And the common sense is this. Common sense, certain things are allowed. But you must do it. It's not that you must do it. For example, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Quran that when you have ihram, ihram when you go for Umrah, and He says that when you finish your ihram, then you can do shikar, hunting. You can do hunting after
You don't
that.
have to necessarily go ahead.
But that doesn't mean you take it out and go hunting. No, but you are allowed to do it. Now you can tell me, because Allah said you can do it, I'm going to do shikar. Not necessary. You are allowed to do it. You are allowed to marry
4 times.
Ali Kitab.
4 times. 4 times. How many men here have
But-
4 wives?
4 times married.
No, but the answer to that,
You can
the answer to that is
But there is a
that's when you
condition.
get into big trouble.
That's not possible when you are put to that test. if you are not put to that test, how can you say that I cannot treat them equally all?
But I don't think I want to be protected.
बच्चे किसी लड़कियां ने शादियां कर रहे हैं उनके बच्चे हो रहे हैं यू आर अटेंडिंग द वेडिंग पेरेंट्स कुछ नहीं कर सकते वाई बड़े सब दी
I
कम्युनिटी के
can,
लोग
I
कर
can
रहे
say
हैं
that with confidence, as they say with Busuf,
बट हाँ ना
confidence.
जैसा
If a woman
की लोग
marries a Muslim,
वाई वी वांट
not by name,
कल्याण करना
हाँ
not by name, Muslim by
फ्रंट
name,
ऑफ एवरीबॉडी
Muslim practicing, proper Muslim,
फ्रंट ऑफ
not just
एवरीबॉडी
because Islam is just praying and that's it, just I can do whatever I like. A proper Muslim.
हाँ
Ya allazina
और
amanu
क्लियर
dkhulu fi
करना
silmi kaffa, who has entered into
Why we
Islam
want to do
and understands the
we don't
fact.
care
A Muslim must understand the fact that Allah
Whatever
is
they
Rabb.
say, we don't care
Rabb means what? Master, master, and slave, his master. And master has full authority on the slave. If I buy a slave, I can give him work in the day, work in the night, work 10 hours or 8 hours or 6 hours, pay him or don't pay him, give him whatever food I like to give him. He has no right to say no. Whereas if he's an employee, I have employed him as a driver or as a whatever, and he's my driver, I have employed him as a driver, and then I tell him, come on, clean this yard. He can say, no sir, that's not my job. We are Abdullah, and he is our Rabb. Allah is our Rabb. He supplies us water, even the air that I breathe. And he expects me to be Abdullah morning, evening, afternoon. In the masjid, outside the masjid, in the shop, in the hospital, wherever, whatever. With the kafir, with the Muslim, with the non-Muslim, with enemy, with friend, everywhere, I am his slave. That is a Muslim. If you are a real Muslim and somebody goes as his second wife or third wife, she is far better than going as first wife of somebody who does not follow Islam. I can assure you that. She will be much better off being the third wife of a good Muslim. But before she does that, before any woman should marry somebody who has already been married, let her find out whether he is really a good Muslim or not. As brother said, you get married and see if I treat them well or not. If you are ready to take the chance, good luck to you. Good luck to you. If you are ready to take the chance.
Passing a test for a good Muslim is a test.
Because, you know, it is not, somebody asked me one day this question, you have this advantage. I said, brother, this is not, a non-Muslim asking me this question, is giving a lecture. So I said, this is not an advantage for men, it's an advantage for women. He said, what advantage for women? How are you saying that? I said, look, if I see a woman and I like her, I can marry her and find out if she married or not. If she is married, I lost her. Husband. Whereas a woman, she sees a man, she doesn't have to worry whether he's married or not. Go marry her, even if he's married. So who has got the advantage? Woman or man?
It's the opposite.
I have a disadvantage. I can marry the woman when she's married. Whereas the woman can marry me even if I'm married. So she has the advantage, I don't have the advantage. You know? And then those people who are married more than one, go and ask them, how are you enjoying your 2 wives or 3 wives? They'll tell you. One is bad enough. Sorry, I didn't do It is very difficult, brother, very difficult. I was giving a talk one day on this surrogacy, surrogacy. And I said that Islam says that marriage is the contract between 2 people. And the fruit of the contract is the children. Fruit of this contract is the children. And there should be only 2 people involved in this. It's a contract between just 2 people and the fruit. So if you take a third one as a surrogate, uterus surrogate mother, Islam doesn't allow that. Again, when some non-Muslim, he asked me, he said, but you Muslims can marry 2 or 3 women. So you can't have one contract, you have contract not only between 2 people, but between 3 people, 4 people. 1 husband and 3 wives. I said, if you have 3 wives, you have 3 contracts. That's right. 1 contract with her, 1 contract with her, and 1 contract with her. That is why you are not allowed, as a Muslim, you are not allowed to talk about what you did in the bedroom with the other wife, first wife. You spent Wednesday night with one wife, Thursday night with another wife, Friday night with another wife. You cannot talk to the Thursday night wife what happened between you and the other woman on Wednesday. You cannot get all the three together and say, now let's have a party in the room. No, it's not allowed. Separate, this is separate contract. There's a contract, a contract, a contract. And you treat them equally, absolutely, and no way of testing it. You can forget that if you have any ideas, you won't get a chance to test it.
Just going back to your permissibility with al-Kitab, my understanding is divorce is allowed in Islam, but Allah Ta'ala gave the caveat. This is the, even though it's permissible, it's the thing I dislike the most.
Yes.
But there's no such caveat of anything with al-Kitab. If Allah Ta'ala just dislike it, He's all knowing, He would know the issues, but it seems to be freely permissible.
It's permissible.
No, freely. There's
It
no
is-
caveat. As divorce, there is that
No, no,
caveat.
it is permissible.
Even though it's permissible.
Even for divorce, brother, even for divorce, what you are saying is a hadith in Abghadul, what is it, of the worst thing that, of the halal thing, Allah, that hadith is a very weak hadith. That's not, yes, that's a very weak hadith. Yeah, that's not in any other Sahih Sita. But it is true. It is true because there are other hadiths also which support that. But this is that I agree with you. That is true. That is the worst thing is the divorce in the eyes of Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Though this is allowed, this is allowed, but it is worst thing. Out of the allowed things, this is the worst thing. As far as the marriage is concerned with the Ahl Kitab, it is or polygamy for that matter, more than one wife. More than one wife in Islam is not a must.
Not a license.
No, a license is not a must. I mean, you are allowed to do it. And there are situations, actually, if you think about it, there are situations possible. For example, if there is a man and his wife develops a disease, a stroke or something like that, she's bedridden or something happens to her and she's at age 35 or 40. She has 2 children, 3 children. Now what is your choice? What are you going to do? One choice is stay with her, be miserable, be wife without a wife, all your life and miserable. That's one choice. Children will suffer, you will suffer, your wife will suffer. The second choice is that you divorce her and say, I'm sorry, but whatever, okay, here's some money for you or whatever, divorce her. What is she going to do? Who's going to marry her? If she's unfit for you, she's unfit for somebody else also. So she lost her home, she lost her husband, she lost everything along with her health. That's the second choice. Third choice is, you take another wife. Keep her in the house. Give her the respect she had before. And treat her well. Treat her exactly as if you had, she's the only wife. Treat her well. She has the respect, she has the children, and you also can manage your household, you can also manage yourself. You have another wife. But you treat them equally. You treat them well. Which of the three choices is better? Which is logical?
I think
in a situation like that, but just because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says غَيْرَ مُصَافِحَةٍ, not just because you like somebody, so I have a wife, I'm married happily, alhamdulillah, and then I like someone else, oh, she's better, well, let's marry her also. You don't do that, that's not it.
No, then they give excuse that, oh, she was in need. The man, they give excuse also, that lady is in need. I say, why? They don't have any other man in the earth that they have to marry you.
I think that
yeah, they always give excuse that we have to help the needy ladies.
We are not going there.
Yeah.
Not to continue this.
You are the only one who can be
We are not
helpful or
going
nobody
there.
else can
Let
be
us
helpful.
proceed.
But I was going to say
We want to go home today.
the reference to the reference to the Al-Kitab that the
No,
brother
a lot of people
recited
they do that.
has to be understood in the context in which it's revealed. As an example, if the Al-Kitab may be either a Jewish woman or a Christian woman, does she accept and does she recognize that there's no distinction between any of the blessed men? Does she recognize that Isa al-Islam is only a messenger and an apostle and not the son of God? That's exactly right, that's my point.
Yeah.
So the point is, that's exactly my point.
That she
The
should
point
be a
is
Muslim, then there's no point of
that if this Ahl Kitab ascribes to everything that I've just described, then she's basically a Muslim. She's willing to surrender, self-surrender and submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so there is no distinction anymore. The distinction comes in if this individual ascribes all the other things that I said, that I just talked about. Then she's no longer Ahl Kitab. So that's the context in which it has to be understood.
But that was the
Most
whole point of
important-
Islam, because Christians at that time regard Jesus as a prophet. That was the definition of Christianity at that time.
No, but there were Christians who accepted Islam on the premise that Isa alayhi salam had indicated that a comforter would come.
So that they weren't Christian.
So in other words, they accepted Islam readily because
So
they
they
understood.
then converted to
They
Islam.
understood. But the Christians today, if you choose, God forbid, to marry Jane Armstrong, who lives in the neighborhood, and happens to consider Isa alayhi salam to be the son of God, then she's not Ahl Kitab. It's as simple as that. She's not Ahl Kitab. If she's not willing to recognize
No, I don't
our
think that-
prophet,
I don't think that's really
no,
important.
but if she's not,
then you make them the Muslims.
No, no,
Then
no.
if she's not Ahl Kitab, you make her a Muslim.
No, no,
So
but then
the
the
Quran
point is,
recognizes that these people.
but that's not what I'm saying.
The Quran recognizes that these are Ahl Kitab because this is Jewish, and they don't accept Prophet ﷺ as the last prophet. That's why they are Jewish. If they accept Muhammad ﷺ as the last prophet, then they are Muslims. They
But that's the
accept
point
Islam.
I'm making. The point
Yeah,
I'm
so
making.
Ahl Kitab is still they have the Torah. Ahl Kitab means the people who got the Torah.
Yeah.
Ahl Kitab means the people who got Bible.
Yes,
right?
correct.
So they are Ahl Kitab.
Correct.
So the question is, if Quran allows you to marry Ahl Kitab,